Well, a very good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are watching us from, and you are warmly welcome to the Power Impact Series, proudly brought to you by the African Season Speakers Network, where we influence the next generation of Africans, both on the African continent and wherever they find themselves. You are welcome to the Impact Series show. My name is Ambassador Benjamin Oswansa, and today we are in here to also be a form or a source of inspiration and then a platform for learning new things that you might not know or you know already, but we need to bring it to you in a different and in a special way. Last week was a wonderful episode. This week, I'm sure you're going to love it because having my guests, you're going to love to listen to this guest over and over and over again. So as we always do it, yeah, get to the chat area. Let me know who is online with me now. Let me know where you are joining us from, and then share some expectations you're about to hear or you want to know about today. Today's topic is going to be a very interesting one that we want to learn more about. And this guest is going to dive deeper and deeper for you to get to know all the ins and outs of this topic. I'm so happy because, hey, you will love to hear this person. All right, so before we do that, get to the chat area. Let me feel you. Let me know who is in here. Let the vibe keep flowing. And then we start from there. So before we do that, or before I come in with our guest, you know it already, we're going to take a commercial break, our first commercial break. And right after that, I'm going to introduce to you our guest for today. So stick around, don't go anywhere. Share the link. Let others also come on board to come and listen to this wonderful nuggets that are going to be shared. Right. So stick around, don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly.
Need a spark to kickstart your innovation? Looking for thought and talks to get things moving? Wondering how to navigate a future full of change and uncertainty? With the eye-opening stories of digital disruption, extreme customer centricity, organizational innovation, and global shift, our collective of speakers, MCs, and moderators will shift your perspective. Meet our speakers. For booking and interviews, contact us on 0246 054092 or send us a mail info.accessnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on all social media channels at AccessNet Global, African Seasoned Speakers Network, influencing the next generation of Africans.
Yeah, influencing the next generation of Africans. That's what we're doing here, and that's all we are talking about. So, hey, let those who are not yet online come online and enjoy what we have to share today. Right. So, it's time for us to do the introduction. Okay. All right. So, our guest for today is a nuclear medicine physician at the Ohio State University Webnex Medical Center and assistant professor of nuclear medicine, the Ohio State University College of Medicine. Our guest completed undergraduate degree in biochemistry, BS, at the University of Buffalo. He then proceeded to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine to pursue a degree as Doctor of Medicine. Then became a resident training in a general surgeon at the Montefiore Medical Center and nuclear medicine at the University of California, Los Angeles, Ronald Reagan Medical Center. Through a global health program that this guest does most often, contributes to population health by leading the next generation of doctors to develop sustainable healthcare systems in underserved communities in Africa to address problems including women's health, maternal mortality, and preventive healthcare. Our guest's research interest is focused on developing new imaging and therapeutic traces for prostate cancer. As chief among them is the new prostate cancer agent, that is the gallium 68 PSMA, which recently gained FDA approval. Ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time on the Power Impact series, we are going to have this wonderful person. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, because I am ready, help me welcome for the very first time onto the Power Impact series, the man himself, Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
Wow, wow. It's a pleasure to have you also. Yes. So, all that I read is you. Well,
That's
that
a
means
pleasure.
you're a man of many facets. I mean, you're a lot of things, medical doctor, not only that, and you're doing a lot of programs for underserved communities, specifically in Africa. How do you do that? But before that, hey, if you're joining me, let me hear something from you because I'm in here with Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi. And you're going to love to listen to him. Um, One will ask, who is Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi? A little bit
Thank
about
you.
yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Well, I'm originally from a small village in the Asante Achim district called Dransa. I was born at Nyaho Clinic. I did my, kindergarten to JSS at Achimota School, then proceeded to Prempeh College before going on a long journey to chase my medical career. But, that's just a little bit about me. I just enjoy, you know, uh, 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 playing sports and soccer, just being back in my African villages and doing the best that I can to love them and give them the chance to love me back.
Right, right. Giving them a chance to love you back. And yes, I'm sure they're loving you and they're loving you back. Yeah. So a little bit about your programs that you do in underserved communities in Africa. What are these programs that you're doing? Can you tell us a bit about them?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. I'm just going to take it back a little bit to a few years ago when I was a very early medical student in New York City when my dean just called me into his office and he was like, "Hey, do you want to start a program in your country? And I'll fund it." I was like, okay, why not? Right? If we have someone giving me free money, that's a good opportunity. At that time, I thought it was a great opportunity to just go have fun and party in Ghana and do that. So I went to Ghana. Whilst I did have fun, I also was able to work in some hospitals back then. And
Right.
I was very intrigued by the nature of healthcare in Ghana, so that got me closer and closer. And thankfully, I was able to try and get some funding sources to continue to come and learn more about healthcare in Ghana. And over time, I've slowly evolved from learning to assistant to now trying to implement sustainable solutions. So that's how it all started about by some dean in my medical school who just set me off and unleashed me. And I've been able to continue to learn about different communities in Africa and then, find, and I say Africa on purpose because it's not just Ghana or West Africa, but,
Right.
different communities. And I've gotten the opportunity to interact with different communities and, try to find sustainable healthcare solutions in these communities.
Right. But I just want to show something briefly. I want to show a video and then I'll find out about it. I mean, you tell us a little bit about this video that I'm going to show. I'm sure you can see what is rolling, and I want to find out what is this project about, or what is this whole thing about.
Thank you. So this was one of our initial projects where, we one of the very first communities we interacted with in the Kumbungu district in the northern region of Ghana, where we were able to, form a good relationship with the paramount chief there. His name was Dalong Lana. He has since passed away probably a year ago. But we developed a very good relationship with the paramount chief of Kumbungu district, who happened to be the cousin of the Yardna. And we realized that women's issues were not as progressed a little as much as it should be. So we
Right.
thought there was a good opportunity to develop a facility to advance women's care. Not just the healthcare needs of women, but the healthcare, social, economic needs. So that facility is it's a very special women's health facility there where all the staff is 100% women's staff. The doctors, nurses, midwives, disease prevention coordinators, they're all women, so to set the stage that, hey, we're trying to advance women's issues there. We also have some very unique artisans. We have some artists doing some creative things to, make women a little bit more economically empowered, to give them a sustainable avenue for revenue, so we're not just taking care of their health, but also taking care of them economically, so they're more sustainable economically, health-wise, and also socially. So we're really excited about that facility in the northern region, and it's I think we hope that it will be a platform to build on women's issues in the north.
But this is impressive. I mean, congratulations to you and your team, because hey, you're not just interested in their well-being, but you also want to look at something that will keep them financially, sustainable for their life. That's good. We say thank you on behalf of the women and the people in the northern region or in the Savannah region. Thank you so much. Right. So your area of expertise is what we want to tap into today. And that is what we're going to have. Yeah. That's our topic for today. Theranostics. Necessary cutting edge cancer care. Right. Are there any necessary cutting edge? In the first place, what are cancers?
It's good. That's a very good question, right? In the Jamaican culture, they call it the big C. They don't even want to mention the name cancer, right? It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Cancer is everywhere in lots of different communities, right? Just when cells in your body just starts to grow. Unfortunately, when most people live long enough, cancer may rear its head, somehow. I'm a nuclear medicine physician, and I focus on using nuclear medicine to diagnose and treat cancer, right? And in a special subset in cancer care called Theranostics, therapy and diagnostics. So Theranostics, so we're able to diagnose cancer with very unique new ways, using all these radioactive tracers to see the cancer, and then when you see them, we can use some cool other radio tracers to also treat cancer. We achieve amongst them that we do is a prostate cancer in men, where when it gets very, very late stage, there usually aren't a lot of options to treat our men, and thankfully we have been able to develop some radioactive ways of treating prostate cancer. Unfortunately, prostate cancer will affect half of all people in the world, all men. When we grow long enough, we will probably get to the point where prostate cancer will rear its head. So it's a really important, critical issue that that we're working on. We have some really cool ways of taking care of that.
Right. Okay, so nice one. You just brought a good topic within the topic. Every month, you said how many? Half of us are going to have it, or
Half
every
of
month
all
is going
people,
to
which is all men. If all men live long enough, we will all get to a point and get to a stage where we will all have prostate cancer. Unfortunately, so it's just waiting for us in the future. So it's inevitable.
But at what age of a man's life does this start? Do we have a specific age?
It can start at any age, but it's usually more common in the mid ages, right? So 55 to 60 becomes a lot more common. So then, and as you get older, then it becomes even more common, right? But it starts from the late 50s, early 60s, and it becomes more and more and more common. And that's the unfortunate thing. Thankfully, there are ways by which, they can be screened. People can be screened with these things, and to see if you're developing it and whatnot. And then, if we screen it and you have it, then the real battle begins, right? To actually treat it, right? So,
right, beautiful. Yeah. So we were just moving with this question on this line of questions because we need to dig in more information about it. And what are the causes of this, especially for men?
Thank you. So there's so many causes of it, right? So there's some genetic factors, right? What we'll say, quote unquote, in your blood, right? So
All
sometimes
right.
like, oh, your dad had it, your grandfather had it, so then unfortunately, you may be prone to have it too.
Right.
Smoking, like every cancer, smoking will increase your risk. There are certain specific genes that we've recently seen that it's very it's when the gene is called P53. P53
Okay.
mutations is common in lots of cancers, but in up to 43% of prostate cancers, they usually will have that gene. The information out there shows that if you're black or you have African ancestry, you are more likely to get a really aggressive form of prostate cancer too. So there are
Wow.
multiple factors that can cause this to happen. So yes.
Wow. There are multiple factors. Wow, this is good. Good information in there. Right. So now, what are the necessary cutting edge cancer care? I mean, once someone has been diagnosed or someone is part of this or has this cancers, what are the necessary cutting edge that we have in, or what are kind of the treatments that can it be treated, and if it's treated, is it possible that it can be cured with
Yeah.
your
So
background?
so it can be managed and sometimes it can be treated, right? So usually
Right.
when people have prostate cancer initially, they go to the medical oncologist and they have different ways of giving them the medical treatments, right? And it's
Right.
what we call castration, right? So basically medical castration or surgical castration, right? You can castrate surgically by taking out your prostate and throwing it away, right? Sometimes
Right.
you can also take some medications that would reduce the testosterone in your body, and then that would bring down the prostate cancer. Sometimes, usually about after a few years, 5 to 10 years, that may stop working, and then you may have to go into the chemotherapy agents, right? The few chemotherapy agents are something called the taxanes, right? They are specific kind of medications that they would use the taxane-based chemotherapies to cure it. Unfortunately, when th- those two can also fail eventually. So eventually you'll get to a point where everything has failed, right? And then we don't want that to be a dead sentence, right? So we've been able to develop and even a third line, right? When all these two things have failed, to be able to treat them, right? So our fathers who are 65 and 70 don't have any options and to just die off. So the new Theranostics agent that we're doing is what we call the PSMA, right? The PSMA is a new, unique, novel agent that really works really well in men who otherwise would have a death sentence, right? But we've been able to save at least 40% of these men who would have no option, right? So, and 40% in cancer treatment, it's a really big number, so we're really excited about that. Using this new PSMA treatment, which is basically a radioactive way to kill the cancer cells. You give the cancer cells radiation through the radioactive molecules, and it destroys them. And it's really exciting.
It's really exciting. I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to follow it up. I'm trying to follow you with the narration. I mean, using radioactive waves to kill the cancer cells. So is it 100%? I mean, surety that once it's been done, you're getting every cell being killed.
Definitely not 100%. It's 40% treatment, right? Not cure, but 40% of people who take this will be treated and won't have disease for years, right?
Okay.
But 60% will be treated for a good amount of time. Unfortunately, about 30%, a third of all patients, there will be no option, unfortunately. So 40 to 60%, I think it's a big number. 40 to 60% of people who otherwise would just be going downhill. So we're able to salvage 40 to 60% of our 65-year-old dads. So
Yeah.
we're excited about that before last year, all these dads would just be heading down the wrong path, but we're able to bring 40 to 60% of them back with this new
Right.
agent. So very excited, very, very excited. And it's because everything new, right? All new things tend to be luxury, right? New technology, it's always luxury, and it's really expensive to get this, but it's really not luxury. Now only like the top percent of people are able to get this treatment, but it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be luxury. It's necessary. Prostate cancer wouldn't differentiate between who's the rich man and who's the poor guy. So unfortunately, because it's so new, it's almost becoming a luxury care, but it shouldn't be. The rich guy in Hollywood should get it, but the poor guy in Boko or Pualugu who has prostate cancer should also be able to get it.
Yeah. So how has this been done so that it's even platform, so that as you just narrated, the one in Hollywood and the one in Boko should get it. What are some of the ways that it can be on that level that everybody can have access to? Is it an equipment that the cancer patient go through, or is a kind of medication that are given to these patients?
Threefold, right? And you hit on two of almost all of them, right? One being the equipment, right? So it's radioactive tracers, right? So you need countries with big nuclear reactors, right? That's the Western world, to be able to produce these specific tracers, right? And you also need all these fancy equipments to be able to manage and do and whatnot. And those equipments too, they come with a high cost too, right? And then the third cost being the politics, right? Some guy found this treatment, so he has to get paid, so he has a patent on it, and so there's a set price point. I think one dose is like $55,000 for one dose, so because he invested X amount of money into it. So these are the three main factors that need to make it very difficult for the guy in Boko to get this treatment, which is very necessary. The guy in Hollywood can afford it, but but then we can find creative ways around it, right? Creative ways where we can bring these very novel treatments down to countries that need it, countries that don't have the infrastructure, right? Good negotiations and finding creative ways to negotiate that some avenues will be open for the guy in Boko to have access to this too.
Right. I love it. This is 55,000 US dollars.
Yeah. Yes. You need 6 doses, and each dose is 55,000.
For how long?
So 6 times 6, so 36 weeks.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining me, welcome to the Power Impact series. Here we are with Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi, and then he's giving us some insights purposely about prostate cancer, and then the cutting edges that have been used, and then the latest developments or the latest discoveries that are used to kill the cancer cells. And he's already spoken about some of the ways in which one can get this cancer, and then we're looking about the ways in which it can be maintained, it can be cured, it can be managed, and he's just giving us the steps or the factors that are used in doing that. He's giving us the 3 steps or to approaching this kind of cancer, and it's getting well. So if you're joining us, say something in the chat area. Let me see that you when you here. I haven't here Bob Baden. He said, "Way, I almost missed." I think he joined in later, and he said, "Okay, he's actually following the narration doctor is giving, and I think he's interested in that." Yes, so let us hear you. Let us hear. Share the page. Let us just also join, because there's a new one that we have been new discoveries that are being used to help kill the cancer cells. Therapy together with the new stuff that have been come together to help this out. All right, so Doc, back to our whole thing. Now we know the cost of it. 6 doses. We know the cost and everything. Now we're looking at how each and everyone can benefit from it. So looking at this cost, what of those who can't afford this treatment? Is there any other ways?
So and that's what myself and a few colleagues are doing, right? So we're trying to bring this very necessary care that will affect half of all Ghanaians, right? So it's gotta no one in Ghana can afford 55,000 times 6, so we are finding creative ways to bring this there. And the first thing we're doing is just good negotiations, right? So right now we've been able to negotiate the PET-CT. That's the big fancy equipment that's required to do this. And we've been able to negotiate really well with Japanese authorities to bring to install one in a facility in Ghana. Thankfully, Nigeria installed one in February this year, which is the only one in sub-Saharan West Africa. I think Kenya has one. Egypt has 60 of them, which is good. South Africa has a good number too. But all of the sub-Saharan West African countries, they don't have one except Nigeria, which was installed in February. We're trying to install one of these things in Pram Pram through the help of these Japanese authorities. Now the question becomes to get the actual medication doses, and then also with good negotiation, we're trying to negotiate and bring this. Then there are some people here, even in the States, who can get it because it's just way too much. But we want to get it to the point where the guy in Boko will come and get this treatment for free, almost free, and we think that we can do it. We think we're close to actually doing this because it's really it's critical, very time sensitive, very urgent. And money shouldn't be a factor. So we're working really, really hard, and we are excited that we think that we'll be able to bring this service to Pram Pram for most Ghanaians who have prostate cancer to be able to benefit from this treatment.
Right, we're going to support this whole cause because I'm just looking at the numbers. Egypt has 60, South Africa has a number, Nigeria just installed one, Ghana is about to install one, and I'm looking at the numbers here. I think we need to get more. So we need to push this agenda. All right. Hey, wherever you're listening to from, wherever you're watching us from, this is our call. We need to come together. We need to link up so that we get more of this equipment in here. I mean, looking at our population in Ghana, we're going to have only one at Pram Pram. I'm looking at the traffic that is going to cause. Are we ready for that? Do we have the resources to handle the number of people that are going to come in to our facility in Pram Pram when it's fixed?
I think it will definitely be overwhelmed. It won't just be Pram Pram. It will be Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Togo. Nigeria has one, and we are just putting in one, and half of men above 65 will need this. I think the need, it will easily, very quickly be overwhelmed. And now the question becomes to expand it, right? But it all starts with, Rome was not built in a day. So start with the initial one, set up the small program there, and then hopefully as numbers increase, we'll be able to expand it. And I think that definitely will probably be overrun and overwhelmed, but just little by little, we'll find ways to slowly expand and make it available to a lot more people.
I love it. We'll slowly expand. I love that part. That part keeps me at peace now. I love that part. Right. So what of the personnel that will handle this machinery or this equipment, and then that will treat this patient? Do we as a nation have the personnel in place for this?
Yes, the simple answer is yes. I think we have the personnel. We just don't have the equipment and stuff, but we do have the personnel. There are some trained folks. I think Ghana was able to send a couple doctors to South Africa to be trained. So there are some trained folks at Kolebu. I believe we have 2 doctors who can do this, but there just isn't the equipment there, right? So we have some folks at Kolebu who can do this, but without the equipment, they're redundant, so we do have the people there. There are some foreign friends who are also coming down to help train the other ancillary staff who will be able to support us, right? And to find more locals, right? More local folks and capacity building, right? To go to Pram Pram. Hey, we're putting this new facility in Pram Pram. We want the guy who maybe he lives there and built his capacity, train him to have a role to play in this. Maybe he can go to nursing school and become a nurse there. He can be the technologist there, take him to the technology school. So we do have the foreign folks who are actually coming to Ghana and working on this training aspect to train the locals, right? And we want it to be run by the locals and not the German guys who will come in to do it. the German guys coming in, they train their folks on the ground, the prom folks, the local dons, to build their capacity so that they can actually run this program, since it's on their land, it's on their property. And it would also not just have a health benefit, it will have significant economic impacts, right? And
Right.
some social impacts. Economically, if you train X number of people in prom to become nurses to run this facility, now they have an economic avenue where they can sustain themselves and their families, but socially as well, right? Now the little kids in prom, they can look up to their big sister who's now a nurse in the facility, and they get inspired to do good in society. So multiple layers in this, where we can just provide healthcare, but use it as a platform to address economy, social avenues, and a whole bunch of different things. So we're really excited. So in summary, yes, there is some personnel in Ghana. They probably need a little bit more of some training, and that's ongoing. There are some foreign friends who are helping to train the personnel to bring up their capacity to be able to run this program.
Right. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I have Eze Ebenezer says, great work, bro. More grace and open doors. And a great topic being discussed today. I really love it. Thank you so much, Ebenezer. Isaac Amofa Jr. says, I'm really enjoying you, Dr. Effah. Keep it up. Africa needs people like you. That's for you. Thank you. Thank you. Keep your comments coming. Keep it coming. Ambassador Prince Kojo Hilton, the Pan-African Arts Ambassador, says, keep up the good work. Thank you so much, sir. We want to say thank you for joining us, and let's keep sharing the link so that others will also benefit from us. Because we're here today with Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi, and he is actually dissecting the topic for us. And he's not only giving us the topic, he's giving us the capacity building that is being ongoing prior to the setting up the center in Pram. Not only do they bring the equipment and all the facility, but they are also doing capacity building that will rampage. Bring a lot of economic, turnaround in the place that is being put up. So, hey, where are you? Let me know where you are from so that we can see if we can pitch so that your community or your area can also have one of these facilities. Yeah. Because it has to turn lives around. Thank you so much, Dr. Effah. And he's doing a great job. This is not the only thing Dr. Effah does. He's into a lot of things, which we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the other things that Dr. Effah is doing. Right. So, doctor, with this cancers, what are some of the lifestyles that one need to live so that we don't get to this level?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes. So the number one thing, if someone can do one thing, is smoking, not smoke, right? Because it's the one biggest factor that impacts all these things, right? Some environmental factors are also big. Unfortunately, the genetic aspect is very, very huge, and that you can't get away from that, right? So what you can do is basically prevention, right? Prevention. And whilst we're talking a lot about prostate cancer in men, there's women too, and this is in line with the question you just asked me about what can we do, right? So if it's in your genes or quote unquote in your blood and you can't do anything about it, right? What you can't do anything about getting it. The next best thing you can do is to catch it early, right? If you can prevent yourself from getting it, you have to be able to catch it early when it's early for you to be able to take care of it, right? So, for example, with this prostate cancer, there's a blood test where men can have this screening blood test very early on and see if they have it, and then they can be able to be scanned for that. But to not leave women behind too. Women also, there's breast cancer and whatnot, right? So what we are very aware of is the mammograms, right? Mammogram is basically an X-ray that will take a picture of your breast to see if there's any early breast cancers on board, right? So that's one thing that our women can also do, right? To have these annual, yearly mammograms. Every year you go see if there's a cancer there, we see it early, and it's easy to treat when it's seen early than not, right? So, and we are installing a mammogram in our facility in Tamale, right? And also eventually there will be a mammogram in Pram. And the issue will be to hopefully to have trust in the medical system and the medical personnel to believe that they have your best interest at heart. So yeah, if the doctors say, hey, come to Tamale, all the women in Tamale, get to Tamale, get your breast screened, believe them that they have your best interest at heart and do that. And hopefully when we have the facilities, set up and we'll be able to have the men come and get screened for prostate cancer, the women to get screened for breast cancer, not just breast cancer, but also cervical cancer and all the other cancers there, right? So if you can't do anything to prevent it, you can do something to catch it early, all right? So that's one way that we can live. And as we're talking about what both men and women can do to be able to catch these cancers early, I want to emphasize on one thing, right? One thing that's very important for us that we live in Ghana. We know one thing, right? Cost. Things are getting very expensive. Things are getting really, really astronomical in terms of pricing, right? So there has to be a way by which these programs will take that into consideration, right? That I won't just come and be here, hey, there's a mammogram here, all women should come get scanned and charge, we'll charge them X amount of money, right? All men should come check their prostate cancer, we'll charge you X amount of money, right? It requires an understanding of the economy, the current economy, the history of the economy, and the cultural basis of our economic establishment, right? For example, what do I mean? So the Western economic climate requires that the guy with square pieces of paper with $100 in front of it is the richest guy, right? Lots of dollars, right? He's the richest guy. But in our cultural setting, that's not the case, right? For example, there are certain communities where the guy with lots of cows, for example, is the richest guy. The guy with a big farm is the richest guy. So there are different economic climates in our communities. So if you set up a health facility with a big amount of this many dollars is what it will cost you to get care, no one would come, right? So we need creative systems that understands Ghanaian culture, Ghanaian economic in the traditional sense, right? So what we're trying to do is to have an understanding of that, so that when a woman comes to our facility in Tamale, we won't call her quote unquote poor because she's not rich on the Western economic platform, but she may have 100 acres of farmland, and to her that's money. So we need to find ways by which these systems that we're putting in place across the board, not just in Ghana, but across the whole Saharan sub-region, people will be able to cost effectively access these things that we're doing. And it's incredibly important that we do this, so that, most people will be able to take advantage of that and not just be pushed away by the high costs.
Don't be pushed away by the high cost. Lovely. Right. When you were giving your submissions, you made mention or kept coming, genetic. Is cancer genetic? Can it be acquired genetically?
Yes, so it is genetic. It's definitely very genetic, right? Very genetic, and there are so many genes that cause cancer in different forms of cancer, right? So my specialty is prostate cancer, and prostate cancer. The research that we have done has shown that 43% of men with prostate cancer have the p53 gene. They are, especially in African American men or people with African descent, I should say. And then there's the women too. There are lots of other genes that women can express. For example, the Jews have high rates of this gene called BRCA1 and BRCA2. There's lots of other genes that different subgroups of people express these things. So unfortunately with the genes, you can't change them. It's what you were born with. You can't change it, but you can know about it, right? You can know that, hey, I have this gene, so therefore I'm likely to get cancer A or cancer B or cancer C. So therefore, knowing this, what can I do? So yes, gene is a big, genetics is a big factor, but you can't, that's not changeable. It's just in you, So what if you can't change it, then you need to find a different approach. It's just to know about it and have a game plan to attack it,
Well, so would that game plan be managing it? Because it's genetic, is it? So your game plan is going to be managing it, or what do you do?
So you can't, the game plan, like I was talking about, is to stay ahead of it, right? So if you know you have this gene and it's most likely to give you breast cancer or prostate cancer, is to actually screen yourself, right? So every year, for example, if you have the gene that will cause breast cancer, every year to go and get the mammogram screen, right? To go check your breast cancer, have pictures of breast taken. If you're more likely to get prostate cancer, your dad had it, right? Your dad and your grandfather both had prostate cancer. That means that most likely you have a gene in you that will make you also get it, right? So then what you can do is you actually screen yourself, right? So you go to the doctors and they will screen for you every year, have your PSA blood test checked to make sure, oh, hey, is your blood test going up? Meaning that your prostate cancer is beginning to come. So therefore we start early, right? We'll do something early. So that's how you can manage it if you have the genes. It's definitely the one big factor that, can affect cancer and whatnot, right? That you can change it, but you can manage that, right? By staying ahead of the curve, checking, surveilling yourself, yearly to make sure that you stay ahead of it before it actually comes.
Right. So we've now known about the genetic part. So are all these cancers contagious?
No, they're not contagious at all. Cancer is not contagious. It's if you have it in, like, one person can give it to the next person. It's not. Thankfully, so you can't pass it on to the next person just directly like that.
All right, right. Because I was picking it from the genetic part, but that's it. He can pass it on to you. So we don't move on from there. Hey, thank you for joining us. I have here Georgina Owusu-Tebri. He says, I'm watching live from Bongo in the Upper East region. Hey, we're coming up there soon, right? God bless you so much and keep up the good work, right? I have in here Abibote Anand says, watching you from the United States of Akosombo. All right. All right. Thank you all for joining and thank you for letting your comments come in. Thank you. Thank you. Doc, so with all the cancers that we've discussed or we've looked at, or the ones that we've not even discussed, do these cancers have stages? And what do these stages mean?
Excellent. Definitely, for sure. Cancers definitely have stages, right? They definitely have the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, right? Those are the main stages in cancer that we have, right? The stage 1 and the stage 4 are the most critical ones, the two extremes. Stage 1 is when it's very small, localized, hasn't done anything crazy. And stage 4 is when it's spread beyond where it started from and it's gone to something else where it's not supposed to be. So if you have breast cancer and it's just in your breast, it hasn't gone anywhere, that would be a stage 1. If you have in your breast and it's gone to your bones or to your adrenal glands or your liver, then it becomes stage 4, right? So the early stages are very easy to manage. The late stages are very difficult to manage, right? And cancers will start from stage 1 and then go to stage 4, right? So unfortunately, some cancers, you only see them when they're stage 4. Someone will come to you with a big mass here. It's like a wound, right? You see this person in your neighborhood who has a big wound that does not heal, right? It's definitely most likely a stage 4 cancer, right? Sometimes a big mass in the breast and it's like a wound that stayed there for months, not healed, and it's probably spread. And sometimes it'll be like, oh, I didn't have anything. I was just fine. I just went to my doctor and my doctor checked me and my doctor said I have this cancer. I don't even know what it is. So then you know that, oh, they don't even have any symptoms with it. It's probably something small and the doctor caught it early, right? So then they will treat it. Unfortunately, in our side of sometimes the challenges with the stage 1 versus stage 4 is that the stage 4 is very difficult to treat. So they come in and it's complex. It's spread everywhere and you're already fighting an uphill battle to try and shrink the cancer and let it go down. That gets very difficult. The stage 1, 2, the social issues make that very difficult. Someone's going to be like, oh, I feel fine. And the doctor says I have cancer. So I'm not going to go get it treated. I'm going to go to a church or go to the fetish priest or go to the local odunsini or whatnot, right? And that makes the stage 1 treatments also very difficult, the social factors with that, right? So that becomes very, very tricky to be able to manage people. So stage 1 treatment is just as difficult in our sub-Saharan region because of the social aspects that I just mentioned about, not being this and I want to pray over it. I want to do this, and trust me, it's a lot more common than not. So those are the stages there that I said. So likely, if we find it early in stage 1 and we're able to eliminate the social factors, the belief systems, and treat it, there's a more likelihood of getting total cure. And stage 4 is always very difficult, and you're just trying to buy time. It's just how much time can you buy this person?
Right. So I'm getting it. Stage 1 to stage 4. So are there symptoms that will let you know that yes, there's a cancer developing in me, or this symptoms or this thing shows that there is a possibility of some cancer cells developing somewhere?
Yes, definitely, for sure. And usually the symptoms will develop where the cancer is, right? So, for example, skin cancer. Oh, you see, oh, hey, I have this black thing on my skin. It's growing. It's been growing for months, and I don't know what it is. It's been 3 months, and it's still getting there. And it's, then that could be a melanoma or a skin cancer or whatnot, right? And sometimes they'll be like, oh, hey, I have a difficulty in my belly or whatnot. That can be vague. A lot of things can cause that, right? So sometimes the cancers in the belly are very, very vague, random symptoms. You can't really tell. So that can be very difficult to tell. Sometimes when you have sarcomas, right? That's the cancers in the muscles and the soft tissue. You'll feel like a big lesion is growing in your thigh and it's getting big. Like, oh my goodness, there's something here. What is that? You're not sure what it is. So yeah, that could probably be that. Sometimes too, we call you may hit your hand or any bony structures on a piece of wall, right? And then it would break. When the hand is not supposed to break, right? You just hit your hand on the wall and it breaks, right? And that would be called a pathologic fracture, right? So that probably means that there's probably some cancer there. The lung cancers too, you see a 70-year-old man like, every time I cough, there's blood coming out. I'm not sick. I don't have a fever, but every time I cough, there's blood coming out. That means that there could be cancer in the lungs, right? So those are some of the symptoms that they could, you can pick up, right? And then a lot of times too, in the older folks, the big red flag is when they have blood in their poop, right? They go to the bathroom and then there's blood in their poop. That's usually a big red flag, and we start rushing to go look in the belly to see if there's anything wrong there. So those are a few things, and especially in older folks, right? And then a few leukemia factors. There's one kind of leukemia where you get dizzy and hot showers and whatnot. So different random signs that the doctors will be able to pick up and direct their treatment or go look, to see what's happening. Of course, a lot of times you may have these symptoms and it just will be nothing, but it's important for the doctor to see it, to take a look at it and be able to tell that it's nothing or there's actually something going on.
Right, there's something going on. So is there a way that somebody can walk to the hospital and say, I want to come and screen or check if I have any cancer in me or cancer somewhere? Is there anything like that?
If there's one thing that, if anyone is watching here, there's one thing that I want to say is that for sure, unequivocally do that when you don't have anything, especially when you don't have anything, right? So, for example, if you're a 40-year-old woman, you don't feel anything, there's nothing wrong with you, for sure, go see your doctor and talk about screening for breast cancer. If you are any age woman, 25-year-old, whatever woman, for sure, when you don't have anything wrong with you, you'll find there's nothing, go to your doctor and get a pap smear, right? Let them scrape your cervix and make sure everything is okay, right? So definitely, for sure, unequivocally, the most important thing I want to say is when you find there's nothing going on, that's actually when you should go and see your clinician. And these are some of the things we're trying to champion, right? We're trying to remove as many obstacles with our work in Ghana and West Africa as to remove obstacles and be friends with community. So when you're friends with communities, you are more likely to tell people who have nothing wrong with them to come and get screened, to come and have your breast mammogram taken to make sure there's nothing in your breast, or to make sure you don't have any cervical cancer down there for women or men, older men with no prostate cancer. So that's the biggest thing, right? Which I think will be the biggest challenge, is convincing healthy people that, hey, keeps you healthy. But the mammogram is 10 cities, but it's important that even though you don't feel anything, go pay that 10 cities every year and have your breast checked, or go look down there to make sure you don't have any cervical cancer. So definitely especially when you don't feel anything, you should go and check, especially age 40 for the women, 50 for the man. When you don't feel anything, definitely go check and make sure that there's nothing going on.
Right. When you don't feel anything, definitely go and check, and let's see what doctors can make up from what you have. Right. It's time for us to take our final commercial break, and then right after that, we're going to have our final words from Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi. But before that, I just saw this and I want to read it out, and let's see how Dr. Effah will speak to it for us. It says, 10 million people die from cancer every year. Is this true, or is this something to scare people? Or is the facts down there? 10 million people.
So cancer mortality is very high across the world. That number, so 10 million people dying from cancer is very general, right? So there are different types of cancers that kill lots of people around the world. It probably could be on the order of, hundreds of thousands of millions. I can for sure validate that or no, but it's a really high number across the world, right? And across ages, right? And which is very, very critical, that affects the communities and societies to be able to see if you can prevent all these deaths, right? And it's important that if it's preventable, why just make people die when you can prevent people from dying, right? So yes, there was a really high mortality rate from cancer that's like really just absurd around the world. It's just incredible, So it's really critical that this thing that's preventable, there's some economic value in just human lives that we work and prevent these astonishing deaths that we have.
Wow. Thank you so much. Let's just go for a commercial break, and right after the commercial break, we continue with the discussion. Stick around, don't go anywhere.
Need a spark to kickstart your innovation? Looking for thought and talks to get things moving? Wondering how to navigate a future full of change and uncertainty? With the eye-opening stories of digital disruption, extreme customer centricity, organizational innovation, and global shift, our collective of speakers, MCs, and moderators will shift your perspective. Meet our speakers. For booking and interviews, contact us on 0246 054092 or send us a mail info.abscessnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on all social media channels at AbscessNet Global, African Seasoned Speakers Network, influencing the next generation of Africans.
Right, influencing the next generation of Africans. Thank you so much for joining. If you're joining us, you are watching the Power Impact series, proudly brought to you by the African Seasoned Speakers Network, where today we are having with us in our studios Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi, dealing with a very important and a sensitive topic that is getting us to the level that we need to get to. I love this part that he just said. When you are fine, that is where you need to go and check. So I'll link that to Abigail's question in here. It says, this is Abigail watching live from Efuaman. Doc, please, is there hope for anyone with cancer stage 4 aside buying some time for the person? I mean, total cure at stage 4. Is it possible? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your question. Well, unfortunately, it gets very difficult to manage cancer when it gets to that stage, right? When it spreads to lots of other tissues everywhere, it gets very difficult to manage. So you don't want to get there, right? So because when we get there, it's just a difficult issue, just fighting against the grain. And it can be very difficult. Of course, there's certain cancers, there are certain rare cases where you can really do the best you can and maybe get them back, but it's rather unlikely. So and that's why it's important that we work really hard to have these screening systems in place that when people, we prevent them from getting to stage 4, right? When they're stage 1, when they don't have much symptoms, you are able to screen all people without much symptoms and catch it early before it starts to show symptoms. So in summary, it's rather unfortunate, but at that stage, whilst there's a chance of cure, it's rather unlikely, and it gets very difficult to do that.
Right. So just do that. This question says, do we get cancer from what we eat?
So that's a very good question. So the diet definitely plays a big role, right, into what you eat. There's research data that has shown that the Mediterranean diet, right, the Mediterranean diet reduces the risk of cancers of the intestine, basically stomach cancers, right? And that's because the Mediterranean diet is very high in fiber, and like all the guys on the coast in the Mediterranean, the Moroccans and whatnot, lots of fiber and whatnot, and not red meat. They eat seafood instead, and they cut down the amount of red meat. And there's lots and lots of data showing that increasing red meat will actually increase chances of getting cancer of the intestine. So yes, there's real scientific data showing that what you eat can definitely impact on the kind of cancer you have. And I think in summary, just minimizing red meats and increasing the seafood and like the whiter meats and lots of green leafy vegetables, that's what's very common in the Mediterranean diet that limits your chance of getting cancer of the intestine. So yes.
Right. Thank you. This question also says, are chemicals and pollutants causing cancer?
That's a very political question that kind of that will be very, very difficult to have to say yes or no and have economic value on an established industry. I do not know what chemicals are in polytank, so I can't say for sure. I think what he's trying to say is plastics and microplastics and their impact on cancer. There's lots of research going on around the impact of plastics, and specifically microplastics on humans and stuff like that. Recently, I believe last week I attended a conference where they had presented data on the impact of microplastics in animal models, right? And the data was equivocal. It wasn't definite one way or the other, but that whether microplastic cause significant effects. But I think the jury is still out. It can't be super helpful to have lots of microplastics in you, but I don't know what's in polytank, and they have some great scientists in that institution, so I'm sure that they do their best to make sure that the safest possible materials are used in the manufacture of polytanks. But there's ongoing research as to the effects of plastic, but not just plastic, but microplastics on the human metabolism, human body, and cancer.
Right. Thank you so much. This is lovely. I'm loving everything, every bit of this program, because it's an educative one. I mean, we've learned a lot today. Yes. Someone said, yeah, thank you so much for this journey you've taken us through today. Thank you so much, Doug. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Doug. I'm loving every bit of the program. Thank you so much. Thank you, Doug, for enlightening me this evening. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Doctor. That is wonderful. So, before we go, we want to take our final words from Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi on our topic for today: Theranostics, necessary cutting-edge cancer care. What are your final words that you want to share with us?
My final words are, we have real problems, real medical problems in Ghana. I think that the problems present an opportunity to rely on our brilliant young minds to be able to help us create solutions around the problems we face, not just in Ghana, but across the African sub-region, where we can continue to work together as one people, relying on the strength and the brilliance of our young ones to create solutions, give them the chance to make mistakes, but trust them and develop and create sustainable solutions in our communities to solve the problems that we have. And I'm sure that we are on our way, especially with cancer care. It gets to be very expensive, but there are lots of avenues, lots of things being done, things are going on that are spearheaded by very young, brilliant people doing the best that they can to create solutions to benefit the entire community.
Wow, lovely. Thanks so much. And then, before we go, I mean, every episode we try to come out with a hashtag that we're going to move with for the episode. And today, it has been ringing through. It has been coming through. One word has been coming through, or one word has been picked from our discussion. And this is our hashtag for today. Our hashtag for today goes, and there it is in the chat area. Our hashtag for today is simple: screening. You need to get the screening. You don't need to get to stage 4 before you start running for screening. You need to do it even now that you don't feel anything, even now that you don't have any symptoms showing, even now that you are fit. Going for the screening, because it's going to help us. It's going to help a lot for the doctors to know how to treat you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy for today's episode. And Doc, I know you have a project in December. You want to share with us? You have definitely some projects underway in
Yeah.
December.
Yes. I'm very excited to share. So yeah, we are trying to create an accessible healthcare system so that people wherever you may be in the sub-Saharan region, you can, if you need care, you need healthcare, you can get it very easily and accessibly and sustainably. Right. So we are launching a few of our clinics, the main one being women's healthcare to advance women's health issues in the north, but a few of our clinics, and we're launching our telemedicine platform where people can um, go on our platform and be able to see a doctor virtually. You may be at home sitting on your couch and you may need to see a doctor just directly, easily, quickly, and easily be able to, just get a doctor's visit without getting on the trotro and being in traffic and going so far away. So we're excited to bring that accessible system, through our small clinics spread out in Tamale, Front Plains, and Mankasim and Port Harcourt and Durban in South Africa and Kisumu in Kenya to all come under one umbrella to really just spread the opportunities to get accessible care in sub-Saharan Africa. So we're excited. We'll be launching our program. We'll be launching a few of our clinics in December to really provide care for the beautiful people in the communities all across the sub-Saharan region.
Right. Beautiful. They're about to do that in the sub-Saharan region. Thank you so much, and we are so much pleased to have you. Would you want to share any of your handles that when people want to contact you, they can easily do that?
Yes. So our foundation is Kubi Foundation. So it's Kubi, Kubi, and Foundation. Foundation with an S, Kubi Foundation, and that's usually across the board on all the social media websites. So Kubi Foundation, Kubi Foundation, and Kubi Foundation with an S, Kubi Foundations on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You'll be able to find us and learn more about our work, and and if we can be of help in any way in terms of providing cost-effective care, we'll do the best we can. So yes, you can find us on the Kubi Foundation and Kubi Foundations on the social media platforms.
Right. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. And before we go, we always do this. You can come to the show and go without getting any cybersecurity tips. And today, what we are sharing or what we're talking about is vision. Now, vision is a fraudulent practice of making phone calls or leaving voice messages purporting to be from reputable companies in order to induce individuals to reveal personal information such as bank details and credit card numbers. Now, this is what they're doing. It's a combination of two words, voice and then phishing, that has come together to form vision. Now, this is what the bad guys are doing. They now call you And then they know most of you have saved your bank's call center numbers by the name of your bank, so that when the bank calls you or when that number calls you, you quickly know that your bank is calling you. Now they know that. So they have also be smart. They know a lot of people have this tracking, applications on their devices, such as Truecaller, and then the other examples. So they quickly register their number by the name of the bank they want to use to scam people or to create those fraudulent activities. So if, let's say, the name of the bank is ABY, they quickly tag that name by the number that you're having on Truecaller. So they will tag it by the name ABY. Now, once they are able to fish for information, or they are able to get information about you from most of your social media pages, and then they are able to get the banks that you save it with, they easily save that name and then they give you a call. And if you have your Truecaller on, it's going to show up that Bank ABY is calling. And that settles the situation or settles the matter. Once you know that your bank is calling you or somebody from your bank is calling you, you are ready to listen to what they're going to say. And that is when they go in and they start asking you or giving you fraudulent information that they have a system with their online application or their online portal. And as a matter of fact, it has been compromised. Your details have been compromised. So they will want you to give them your login credentials so that they reset your account for you. Now, who is going to do that? The best they can do is that they will call you to come over to the bank or come over to the branch where you get a service person talking to you to do that for you. So when you see these calls coming from the bad guys, they are always scheming. When you see these calls coming from them and it's purporting to be from your bank or a company that you know, first of all, hold on. Don't quickly give your personal details to them. If the bank or the company really needs those information about you, they will place a call so that you come over to the branch or the nearest branch so that those information will be taken, and then whichever rectification that needs to be done will be done. So be careful about vision. Be careful about this voice phishing techniques that the bad guys are using. They are always trying to work on your emotions. And once they do that, they know they're going to get you. So the next time you see those calls coming, be vigilant and don't just give out your personal information freely. Thank you so much for watching. And it has been a wonderful time here with Dr. Effah Appiah Kubi dealing with us with also two beautiful words that has come together: therapy and then diagnostics. And they've been able to giving us, or he's giving us, a wonderful cut to all this that we talk about. As I always say, have a wonderful week and make sure that dreams are high level. So you make sure you get to the top level of your dream. Don't settle for less. Keep aiming high. My name is Ambassador Benjamin Oswansa. It has been a wonderful time having you here on the Power Impact series. See you same time next week at the same place where we're going to have a wonderful guest also speaking to us on a wonderful topic. Have a wonderful day, and a hashtag for today is screening. Make sure you get to the hospital or get to the health center and you do your screening. On behalf of the team here, we want to say to you, thank you so much for joining this episode. Have a wonderful